The catwalk. On the catwalk. We're going to shake our little tushes on the catwalk.
I don't know about yours, but you can keep your tour sheet on your own side. That's all I'm saying.
It's all I'm saying. What's happening, guys? Welcome to Batman the Fan-imated stream. I, of course, am Dave the Film Junkie. With me, as always, Mr. Scott McClellan. How's it going, sir?
It's going okay. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good with playoff football today. Congratulations to the Bengals. Congrats to the Niners that just won right now. So, cheers to playoff football this freaking weekend. And now we're back. We're going to championships next weekend and then Super Bowl a couple weeks from now.
Yeah, I've been catching up a lot of TV today.
Have you?
Yeah, Heather and I finished up season 2 of The White Lotus.
Okay. Still haven't watched that.
I love season 1 and season 2, except for one character. It's completely different cast, completely different story. So you can watch them really independently of one another, but they also have completely different tones. So watching season 2 is very different from watching season 1. And Heather only watched season 2 with me.
Okay.
And then we finally, I know season 2 just dropped, I think like this week, but we just started the Mayor of Kingstown.
Oh, okay. That's the Jeremy Renner. How's that? Good.
Yeah.
Okay. It seems like it's pretty intense. I finally finished Wednesday last night.
Finally.
Yeah, I know. I had a DM, Saggy and be like, "Hey, did it." But yeah, I mean, it was just like, I had some free time and I went, you know what? Time. And I had 3 episodes left. I thought I had 2, but I had 3. I was like, oh, crap. Because I hadn't even seen the introduction of Uncle Fester, Fred Armisen. I was like, oh, yeah, there we go. I was wondering he was going to pop up, but what's going on, Omri? And see him in bed after. Oh, hopefully feel better, man. Feel better, Northman. What am I doing here? I'm probably. That's funny. I don't know if you can catch it through the chat, but you never know. You never know. So what's going on, Mr. Venom? Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. We got pretty fly for a Filipino guy. So yeah, hopefully you all feel better. Yeah, beautiful day with the Cowboys lost. Yeah, I don't even know what that last play was, to be honest. I don't even know what that was, what they were trying to accomplish, but they were trying to accomplish something and it did not work at all. So yeah, who knows what's going to happen in the future for that. All right, good to see you, Eric. All right, yes, we're talking about Catwalk. And, I did forget about this episode, but naturally, as I was watching, I went, oh, okay. And to be honest, I like this episode because I really like this episode because, when we talk about how when it comes to Batman, the animated series, and how, when the focus is on the criminals, and we've talked about it in the past, and this is a focus on Selina, of course, and just her trying to be good, and the struggle that she has, because obviously the drug that she had was being Catwoman, and she explains all this in the opening, like 2 minutes of this episode.
Yeah, it was a weird kind of dream-like sequence deal. I'm not.
It was.
I know what you're to me, Dave, as I was watching this episode. Yeah, this is what happened to me when I was watching this episode. I had fonder memories of this episode than I experienced rewatching it today.
Okay, that's good.
This is one of those episodes that I remembered enjoying as a kid, but rewatching it, it was a little bit more of a meh episode. Okay. I didn't dislike it, but it was more just kind of like, okay, that was an episode with some highlights in it. And I realized that the parts that I was enthusiastic about as a child were the things I remembered about the episode. And there was a lot of this episode I'd actually forgotten.
Yeah, there were some things I forgot too. Like, it was just it was a hazy episode where I went, I recognize it, but I don't fully remember it. But yeah, you're right. Like the opening, they went for an interesting style to kind of recap everybody about Selina and the fact that she obviously has been arrested, been tried, been all that, where she can't be Catwoman anymore. So she's trying to be good, and she's at the museum at this exhibit that has cats stuff. What do they call those?
The taxidermy.
Taxidermy, there it is. Something like that. You know, it's just displayed. And so we have an inner monologue of her talking about just being, good. And then, we kind of do a flashback, and the first thing I noticed is like there's no sound, no voices. It's all music. It's all score because she's doing her thing, showing it, and then Batman shows up and she's still narrating over it, which I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, it's all when they start fighting, there is no sound effects, there is no voice, no nothing, just score, which I thought was cool.
No, I mean it was an experiment, and I don't know how successful it was, but it was an experiment.
All the way to when they show her in front of the judge, and the podium is like 6 stories high, and all you see is the gavel go, and it's like, oh wow, they're really emphasizing something right now. But
yes, they are.
Yeah, but hey, it's they were going for something there. Which I thought, okay, cool. And naturally, when it comes to one of these exhibits that is trying to raise money, it's got some artifacts and whatever very expensive things, very valuable things. Of course, Bruce is there, and of course, he sees Selina and tries to be like, "Hey, Selina, hi, Selina," because we all, he's got fire for her. Always.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and you gotta love that. And then we get Veronica. Didn't she was in a previous episode, right? Veronica?
Well, we've had Veronica in several episodes,
right? Okay.
So yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm trying to remember exactly okay, which ones were she? I mean, obviously, and I love it how Selina kind of gives her the business when it comes to this new exhibit that's happening in the museum is her talking about, was she in Harley Quinn also? Oh wow. She was in that one as well. Yeah. So she's been in there.
No. Veronica doesn't show up until Harley's holiday.
Okay. It's Harley's holiday. Okay.
She got mentioned in last week's episode, Time Out of Joint, but she doesn't.
That's right.
Up. But she's a supporting character in Harley's Holiday, which we haven't gotten to yet.
Gotcha. All right, yeah. So I just love how, because obviously we've got Veronica, who, she's kind of when you hear her attitude and everything. We could always tell, obviously she probably wants the attention of Bruce more than anybody else. But then of course she shows off the new exhibit that's from her grandfather, and then Selina just gives her the business and said, "Oh yeah, your grandfather killed everything that was in his way," and blah blah blah, and just kind of makes it awkward. I love how Bruce is kind of like, oh boy, he's all, oh boy, what's going on here? So Bruce is doing his best to just kind of be like, I'm gonna stay out of it, but this is, what are you doing, Selina? What are you doing? And it's a funny little scene, but yeah, she definitely gives Veronica the business.
Yeah, and it got me, it feels a little bit like Veronica's grandfather is kind of like a stand-in for Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, when you see the statue and yeah.
Because that's kind of her description of his preservation is kind of like what led to the national parks that Teddy Roosevelt started. Yeah. So I was just like, okay, I see what's going on here.
So they pulled from that for sure. And then of course, Bruce is just basically said that was kind of uncalled for, but it's Selina. She just she just says it's the cat in her, I guess, which, yeah, she's got to get it out. I mean, again, going back to the whole thing, and they're establishing with this episode is that Selina has been grounded. She can't do anything. She can't get her fix. So she's just, essentially, she's depressed. She definitely is depressed. And then, when she had the opportunity to clear some history, she definitely did it because, well, she probably has been, at least if she's grounded, she's probably been doing a lot of reading, I would guess,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just sitting back. So she's probably very, very well educated when it comes to wildlife, especially when it has to do with cats, obviously. So, but then of course she hails a cab, and when a nice, like a black Rolls Royce, I guess, I don't know, some kind of luxury fancy car pulls up, and then we get Rhino. Remember Rhino, guys? Rhino, he's been in there before, right? Obviously, we don't. Yeah, big dumb idiot.
Yeah. So here's the thing that got me when the ventriloquist and Scarface and all of them showed up. And I want to ask you this because we have the entire scene in the back of this. I'm going to just say limo. And I know it's not exactly a limo, but that's how I'm going to characterize it. A couple of things stuck out to me. One, I love Selena's complete incredulity at the idea of the ventriloquist and
Oh yeah,
Scarface. I think that is really good writing because this was a Paul Dini episode.
yeah.
And I really like how she can barely contain herself, like,
She
oh
starts
my
laughing.
God.
Starts laughing, and then she mocks him. It's great. It's great because it's like it's such a ridiculous. I mean, it's a ridiculous character, but it's also it's such a cool character because it's like, how do you take this seriously? You know, how do you take a villain like this, which is literally like this dude holding a puppet that has a machine gun, and it's like, really, there's no way that this is real. But yeah, she totally is like, really, what the and then, of course, the deal that he tries to that they try to give her, she turns it down at first. So, at least good on her for turning it down right off the bat, because she's just like, I don't want to be in the I don't want to be in the I want to be in prison, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. And here's another thing that bothered me about the scene, though, and it has to do with the animation.
Okay.
I found Scarface way too emotive in this scene.
Think
It's like
so?
his face was moving in ways that the puppet would not actually be able to move. Like the puppet would not be able to make these expressions.
Hmm.
And it bothered me.
Oh
It was
wow.
like, no, no, like the mouth can move, the eyes can roll around, but other thing, like the eyebrows could possibly move up and down. But like the other thing, like somebody missed the assignment about remembering that this is a puppet
Yeah.
and
And
not an
yeah.
actual face. And they fix it in other times of the episode, but there's something about this scene. I feel like the animators forgot that they're animating
A pup.
a ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah. I see what you're talking about like that. I didn't notice it that much, but I could see where I can yeah, I mean, one thing about this character, again, it's so ridiculous that you don't want to, and this later on, of course, there's other things too where you're kind of going like, okay, there are putting a little bit too much in Scarface, but but there is something that happens, of course, which we'll actually watch that clip, which I thought was interesting. I was forgetting.
Oh, good, because that's like my favorite part of
Yeah,
the
what's his
episode.
name again? I'm totally just blanking. I forgot to write it down. What's his name?
The
Yes.
ventriloquist's name? Arnold Wesker.
Arnold. Yeah, that's right. Arnold. I was like, I kept thinking Herbert. No, it's not Herbert. It's Arnold. Duh. Jesus. But anyways, so yeah, she turns down the deal because he has a foolproof plan that if she breaks into the museum and gets all the sparkly things that she wants, it's foolproof and everything. Obviously, when you're watching, you're going, okay, what the heck's the deal here? There's something interesting that's happening. And he kind of gaslights her because he uses the whole things about the cats, and now that they're basically stuffed and everything. So he kind of gaslights her to like so then she actually pulls off this job, and yeah, she eventually does take it. She gives in. She does give in, but hey, she does a good job, you know, doing at least the trying to, well, getting into the museum and using ISIS as a distraction for the guard. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was very cool. But you knew something was up, and then, of course, Scarface immediately double crosses her because you realize that she's the bait.
Yeah.
She's the distraction so he can get what he actually wants to steal. But what I do appreciate is the episode at this point focuses on the fact that Scarface is screwing Catwoman over without really explaining to us what his true motivation is. And I'm glad that's something that got left to be discovered later in the episode.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It's a good structure of the story because obviously they're outside. They pull up as she's just as she's doing her thing, and having the distraction, the guard being distracted by ISIS, and then as she's doing her thing, we got Rhino that of course starts shooting some gas or some whatever the hell flares into there. He was shooting gas in there, like almost like a tear gas. I don't know if it was tear gas,
yeah, something like that. Yeah, absolutely.
something. But of course that's going to trigger everything off, and then the way she got in, which is funny too, because it's always the windows above. Won't these places realize that that's where these thieves are going to be coming in at? There's always like the glass window, the whatever the hell you want to call it, the what do they call those windows? I don't know. I forgot.
Skylight. Yeah,
skylight. There's always like an opening, and that's usually where they come in. And then when you have a brontosaurus skeleton in the museum, that literally is that's just welcoming thieves.
I know, right?
It's like literally like the head is probably 5 feet away from that. So anybody can just get in and just, use that as a little ladder to get up and down out of that place. And, but, Scarface had a plan, and he had a bomb strapped to it that, that the guards didn't see. But hey, it's whatever. It blows up and causes her to fall, which, man, pretty nasty spill.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she's still walking around after that is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. She's a cat. They land on their feet, right? So you gotta,
Yeah,
you gotta take into account of that, I guess. But of course, the guard comes in, and then she does her little. I love it when she gets into her flirtiness. And
yeah.
She starts doing that whole thing where, like, big. She does that to Batman. There's just like, it's just, I like it when she like gets into that mode. It's funny because that's what she uses. She uses that to her advantage, which of course, I mean, I almost, and I meant to say this at the beginning of our stream here. I'm like, here's an episode that has the ventriloquist and Catwoman's butt cheeks. Did the animation the animation, right? Am I right? There is a lot of
you're right.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, I was like, dang, they really just, anytime they show her butt, it's it's distinct. They have, I mean, yeah, it was there's just like, geez, they were really showing the glutes, the cat glutes for sure.
Yeah, they were. I got you.
Hey, what can I say? I'm me. Anyways, so obviously when it comes to the guard, he does at first too. I love how the guard like goes, wait a minute, and we see him like kind of go, no, and then he goes, all right, and then of course grabs her hand and then gets a swift kick right into the sternum, and out for the count. She knocks him out, and then of course she has to make her getaway. And then of course the other guys show up, and it's just, and it was funny too because once she actually gets out, when the cops come out, and then of course she does her acrobatic stuff, and the cops, like, they're I love this detail in the animation. When the cars like collided, there's oil that is just spilling out of the bottom of that. Did you notice that? Scott, can you hear me?
I lost you there for a second, buddy.
Is that what happened?
Like, you were there and then you were gone. Yeah.
Okay. No, I was saying, like, when the two cop cars like collide with each other, and of course crash, there's like one of the cars just starts spilling oil everywhere. Did you see that? It was like underneath. I think we're having some technical difficulties. Did you hear me?
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah, because like both times you talk about the spilling oil, and then you like go away. I'm just like, stop saying spilling oil.
Okay, man. Well, I'm just saying, like, there was like a thing where, did you see it spilling out of the bottom of one of the cop cars or no?
No, I did not.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Not something I paid attention to, because I think what happened to me is that I think that was at the point where, I don't know, maybe my attention kind of started to drift a little bit. Like I said, the episode like didn't quite grab me as much as I thought it was going to.
Yeah, it was just like it was just something I noticed. I was like, why is they went as far as to put a bunch of oil spilling out? That was interesting. I don't know. I wrote that down. I was like, that's very interesting. Hi, Mom. Mom's here. Hey, had dinner with her tonight. Good to see you.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was good. So, but all right. So she does that, and then of course back at Selena's apartment, we have Batman that's there, and I love how she kind of gives him this little zinger, like, well, breaking and entering is against the law, which is true. I mean, Batman essentially does break the law when he breaks into somebody's place and hides in a corner and then does his little reveal. But she's just giving them. That's their way of flirting, I guess you could say.
Kind of, maybe, yeah.
A little bit. So, but of course, Batman knows everything that's been going on with that, and basically she then tells him that, hey, I was there because I wanted to. I love how her excuse was, I wanted to apologize for earlier, but nobody was there. And then all of a sudden these hoodlums came in and I tried to stop them. And I was like, oh, okay. Look at you. Hey, look at you.
Yeah. That's totally BS. That's totally BS.
She was trying to, but then, Batman was like, as much as, he probably was like, obviously he's a little softer when it comes to Selina. So he was just kind of like, well, if you want to come back with me and give your statement to the cops, let's do this, and which I thought, okay, cool, because now we're going to get a team up almost like, Batman's like, okay. So maybe he realizes that something else is going on here. Like, what would get Selina to come back and do all this, especially after they had that exchange earlier, when it came to them two at the museum. So maybe he's trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, I guess you could say. And
yeah, and that's kind of where it's like, why, Bruce? Why are you doing that?
Because
Seriously.
he loves her, Scott. He loves her. He can't help it. It's the one woman that he just, it's Bruce Wayne, who's just like, yeah, dated her, but Selina, Selina, it's always there, always got that soft spot or hard spot, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, yeah. Okay, so so they go back, and then she realizes that when they were there, that some of the stuff, some of the cats that were the stuffed cats or whatever, were not there anymore. They already replaced them, and then she realizes, oh, that was like we were talking about, the structure of the story is the fact that they used her as bait, so then they can get these very valuable, priceless, I guess you could say, cats that were there, the stuffed cats, and well, other animals too, obviously, that we find out too. But yeah, so she realizes that, and then her thing is, well, now I got to get out of here and just kick Batman right in the chest too. She does a lot of kicking in this episode.
She does do a lot of kicking, and I just started to shake my head. I mean, after what we've gone through with like Cat Scratch Fever and Tiger, I was just kind of like, Selina, Saggy, I don't look at the comments during the show.
That's why I had to do that. I saw
I will validate your existence now that I know you exist.
There you go. Yeah, I thought I'd put that in there.
But I was expecting so much more from Selina. I felt kind of disappointed in her in this episode. It's like, why you go there? Why you go there?
Exactly. All she had to do was tell Batman what was going on. And then, maybe he would be like, okay, well, let's go get him. Where's he at? If you know where he's at, as opposed to him putting a tracking device on ISIS, which is what he ends up doing. We could just cut the middleman out. It's like, but whatever. But they have a nice little fight sequence, and they destroy the museum even more than it was destroyed the first time, which is funny.
Oh my god, that whale that just goes like swooping through the museum, and Batman even like does like the knife one cool move where the knife just seems to come out of like nowhere and he like digs it into it, but you just punctured that whale. Like, is that like a mock whale, or is that like a real whale that you just
hopefully mock
like permanently vandalized?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like they have a nice little fight, and then like even to the point, I love it when she was like, she goes after him and she just ducks. I love how he just like, instead of just like, like that or something, or blocking it, he just goes whoop, and then she just goes off, and then he's like, oh boy, Selina, like, whoa, shit. And then she does almost like a Batman 89 move where it's like you look down and then all of a sudden some legs come up and knock you back. And then I like how she like, obviously she doesn't need a knife to cut the rope. She just uses her claws just to cut that thing off. And then of course she gets out of there. It swings, it destroys more of that place. Batman gets out of that freaking sunlight or whatever the hell you want to call it. I always forget what skylight, whatever. The little doorway just in time before again, it's like, Jesus Christ, this museum is just getting I just wonder did Bruce supply money? Probably, right? He probably gave them money to clean up this mess, just like, hey guys, whatever you need. I'm sure he did.
I'm sure he did too. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do that, when you're, especially when it's like, oops, geez. But yeah, and then of course we see that Batman, of course, has a tracking device on her, and then so then we get to the little hideout that's happening, or that Scarface or the ventriloquist is at with his goons. And then I like how he's trying to sell a bird, the bird that he has, a valuable bird, to the penguin. So we get a little.
No, that was good. Like I liked that. What I like about that is that once again, it's utilizing the universe.
Yeah.
It's knowing that who would ventriloquist sell I think it even looked like a sort of rare kind of penguin anyway. So it's like, but who else would you sell it to? And well, of course you call Oswald.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a cool little, all right, cool. Yeah. I like that. So, and then of course she shows up, and as that's happening, I mean, I don't know how he knows that she shows up, or is just suspecting that she's going to show up. But yeah, he basically just I forgot exactly what happens. I'm drawing a blank on it. He hits does he hit a button or does he shoot something? I forgot. What did he do again? Did I have it written down? Right now.
I feel like it was a button.
Yeah. I got a date with a scratching post. Oh yeah, I remember she said that. That was a cool little line.
Oh yeah, that was a good
it was a good little. Yeah. There's some good puns in here, of course. Obviously you got a wooden puppet, and then you got a Catwoman. So of course there's going to be some puns in here. Maybe not as much as the Clock King from the last episode, but sorry, I had to fit in.
Oh, there were so many time puns.
Yeah, exactly,
yes.
And I had to fit in the voice too. Had to fit in the voice, but yeah, so doing that, and then of course, so she shows up, she gets knocked down onto a conveyor belt, gets kind of knocked out, and of course, at the end of a conveyor belt, what happens and all these stuff, you got like a rotator saw thing happening, so she's got to like try to get. It was a button, right, Ryan? Okay, it was a button. I couldn't remember. I was like,
I was right. Okay. I was right. Okay,
good, I was like, good. For some reason, because there's a point where they shoot at. I don't know. There's just. It's either like when people fall, it's like something happens. I don't know, button, gun going off, cutting the cable. Who knows? But yeah, so that happens, and then I like it how like she's kind of knocked out, and Isis is trying to like lick her away. Like, come on, get up. She's like licking her face, like, come on. It's like one of those things, and yeah, and naturally, just in time. And then I like the fact that Scarface goes, I thought I told a putty tat. It's like, okay. Again, references, puns all over the place.
Well, come on, it's a Warner Brothers cartoon. Of course, we're gonna make a Looney Tunes reference.
You got to put something like that in there. And then of course, when that's all happening, Rhino jumps into action, and then he grabs her, and then Isis actually, Isis is nice. I mean, obviously it's a cat. So Isis jumps on Rhino and jumps on his neck and starts, doing the cat thing. And then Batman shows up, of course, and, knocks him down. And then I like what she says too, because obviously, we got the dynamic between Batman and Catwoman. I don't know whether to bite you or kiss you. And then she almost like goes in for it. And then like Batman's like, maybe another, like, it's like, hey, we got like a bad guy over there. But part of him was like, I really want to kiss her. I really want to kiss her right now. You could tell. You really
could tell. Yeah. That was a weird. This episode was that I wanted to like slap Batman a couple of times, being like, "Dude, get over it. I mean, come on, you should know better."
Dude hasn't been laid in a while, man. That's probably what happened. That's the way I'm chalking it up. You know, he was like, "Oh, god damn it." So maybe that's what again, it's a kid show, so I'm just looking at it as an adult. Maybe, he just needed, he needed some of that cat scratch fever. Damn it. He's got that with her. That's what it is. But anyways, so then of course Selena then drops a bunch of like logs because they're in some kind of factory that does something with wood.
Oh, it was a lumber mill.
Lumber
Like,
wood. There you go. Yeah.
so and that was the part I always remembered about this episode, because I remembered Scarface ending up on the conveyor belt heading towards the saw.
Yes,
Like, that was the part I always remembered about this episode.
I know that was pretty much the only thing that I remember from the episode too. But of course we get to that point where where they're of course up in the little office area, and Arnold, and then she just kind of uses her whip to just like grab Scarface out of there and launch him onto that conveyor belt, and then of course hit the button, and then we see Arnold kind of like break away from. Yeah, so that's the clip, of course, that I wanted to like show, because I'm like, okay, look at Arnold right here, just kind of lose it, because we all know that it's him. But I mean, like, it's part of him, even though it's very distinct. It's the multiple personality thing. But, it was just like an interesting little thing right here. So here he is on the belt.
Help!
Help!
Someone do something!
So is he throwing his voice right there?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. Look at him. And then look at him. He gets upset. Yeah, go Arnold. And then he also goes, phew. Yeah. But then she's like, interesting. See how she looked at him like that? Like,
yes, exactly.
Yeah. Huh? Whoops. Oh no, you see his hand fall off. Oh, and look at him. He's like, oh shit. Scarface.
That's one way to remove a splinter.
Ha, ha, ha. And then he cries, of course.
What's wrong, ventriloquist? Cat got your tongue.
Oh, good Lord.
Please, I never hurt you. Scarface, he's another person, not me, really.
But he's inside you somewhere. And I'm going to keep scratching until I find him.
Jeez. Brutal.
Don't make it harder on yourself.
He cost me my freedom.
Man.
No, you gave it up. From the very start, I suspected there was more to this business than you were telling.
See, I like it that Batman was like, hey, you're the one that said yes.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's like, don't blame your problems on someone.
Why did you do it, Selena?
You did this to yourself.
I realize now I can't change that.
See,
like
I like what she says right here.
Tonight. It's just the cat in me.
It's just the cat in me. And then, of course, she gives him the ultimatum of, hey, you better save this valuable cat or arrest me. What are you going to do?
It's priceless, Batman. The last of its kind. Will you take me in or let it become extinct again?
Oh, boy.
The lady or the tiger, darling?
The lady or the
Your
tiger.
choice.
And I love the reference to that classic short story.
Yeah. Classic short story?
Yeah, The Lady or the Tiger.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go. The Lady and the Tiger. Well, obviously, she said it right there. But
do you not know that story?
I don't know that story. What's that story? Tell me.
No, it's actually a story about this culture where the guy gets put in this arena, like he wants to marry like the princess, and he's put in an arena and he has two doors. So it's literally like pressure. It's like Let's Make a Deal. It's like, door number 1 or door number 2. One's a lady, one's a tiger. And, if he chooses the one with the princess behind it, he gets to marry. If you choose the one with the tiger's going to maul and kill him. Wow. And then, of course, the trick is that the story ends before you find out.
Which door?
Yeah.
Makes sense. No, it does sound familiar. But yeah, when you said that, I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a reference. So that's cool. I like that. But of course, Batman chooses that because, again, I think it's partly because it's like, all right, Selena, since you got bamboozled on this time, I'm going to let it slide. But then at the same time, it's like, well, this is something very valuable. We all know that Bruce is all about like conserving, artifacts, history, something like that. He's always, he's big on that kind of stuff. So, but then of course, it's kind of funny after all that happened in the Rare Tiger, and then after she gets away, we actually get a Batman. If you were to type in Batman the Animated Series, a GIF.
Sad face, Batman sad
Yes,
face.
the sad
Yes,
face.
I was like, oh, there it is.
Yes, it did. Of course, a Dalton, oh, there it is. I was like, oh, there's that Batman GIF of sad eyes where he goes, Yeah, exactly. I've seen how many times I've used it. Other people have used it, but yeah, it was just one of those things. And then, of course, we get pretty much what the title card looks like of her just kind of perched up, and she essentially goes, "I am the cat who walks by herself," and that's it. Yeah,
It's kind of a weak
kind of
ending,
weak,
honestly.
kind of weak. I mean, I like the whole what happened at the end with a little ultimatum thing there. I like that, cool. But then I was like, when it just ends with that, I was like, oh, okay. That's it. Okay. It's like, okay. Yeah. I mean, the line was okay, but I mean, obviously, it kind of made me remind me a little bit of Batman Returns. When you see the bats, and then all of a sudden you see her but that was different. That was like a cool little way to end it right there. But yeah, this one right here was just kind of like, I am a cat who walks by herself, and then it just kind of ends, and I'm like, all right, cool. I guess so. But there it is. Decent episode. It's a decent episode.
It's decent, yeah. Like I said, it was a little disappointing because I just remembered it being better than actually being.
Yeah, I just the biggest thing that stuck with me was the fact that it's like how when we have Catwoman has always been an interesting character when it comes to Batman and the Rogues Gallery, because everybody else, you got Joker's a lunatic, kills people, wreaks havoc, all of them. Like most of them are just like that. They end up just like killing people. Catwoman, not so much. She's not a killer. She's just a big time thief, and she gets her jollies off from it. She's very acrobatic, does a lot of the stuff, similar stuff to Batman. So to take that away from her, who, it's not, obviously, does she have a little, is she a little mental, maybe a little bit or something when it comes to her affinity for cats and everything? Sure. But at the same time, she does mean good for a lot of things, So taking that away from her where she can't do that. I mean, that's just, I do like that they emphasize that. I think that was my favorite part of the episode, is emphasizing her trying to be good. And then, of course, you have the ventriloquist, or, Scarface, basically taking advantage of that and baiting her and gaslighting her into doing something to get her back into the game, so then he could come in and get something very priceless. So I do like that aspect of it. But yeah, certain things of it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was just telling that when I was making my notes, I literally wrote one note, and I was like, wow, I didn't write anything else about this episode.
So yeah, I can see that. It's forgettable. It's a little forgettable. It definitely is, because we forgot.
I hate to say it, but
yeah, because we both forgot about it. We I think the most memorable moment was just Scarface on that conveyor belt and Arnold going no kind of thing. So yeah, but it's not a Batman in my basement. That's for damn sure.
No, it's not a Batman in my basement. That's true. No, that's still. No. That still ranks down there.
What news are you talking about? There's some news. What news, Ryan? Sorry, I don't see. She was bullying him. 89 River. I don't know what you're talking about. What news are you talking about there, Ryan? Let me know. What, something break right now? I don't know. I'm not gonna scroll up, but yeah, let us know. But what do we got next week? Hey, there we go. Oh, I remember this episode.
You want to know why I remember this episode? Why? This was officially the first episode of The Adventures of Batman and Robin. Bane was the episode.
Right.
They went from being a weekday show to being a Saturday morning show. Bane was the first episode.
Wow, there you go. So, yeah. So this is going to be a good one next week, folks. This will be a good one because I do remember this episode, and it's a good episode. And man, we get yes, scream my name. Oh man, and then I mean, okay, I'm already like thinking about stuff too. I'm like, so yeah, so make sure you guys watch that. You got anything else you want to add to Catwalk on
No,
the
I
catwalk.
I didn't have much to start with, so
I
it's
know,
not like I
right?
got much to add on here at the end. Sorry, man.
No, it's all good. No, it's all good. No, I know. Like I said, it was just as soon as it ends, it just ends, and you're like, okay, that's fine. But next week, that one's gonna be a good one. So make sure you guys watch that. Bane. Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. Anyways, oh, you got a 68 Charger. Okay, that's what you were talking about. Okay, I was about to say that's pretty cool. Good on you, Ryan. Congratulations. Sounds awesome. Lucky man. I wonder how long did it take you to
Respect.
get that? Yeah, total. Yeah, I was like, news. Did something break, like movie news wise or something like that? But 68 Charger, that's pretty sweet. All right, Scott, go ahead and promote.
Well, of course, you can find me on Twitter at ScottDC27. You can find my podcast, DC Squawkcast, wherever podcasts can be found. That includes episode 341 that literally dropped about 4 hours ago, that you can find, The Dark Night of Our Soul. And go check it out. We've got, Vero, Facebook, YouTube with the entire network of shows at squadcastmedia.com. We are a fan-supported network over at patreon.com/squadcastmedia. And we did record our Judge Dredd review last night. So if you're a patron, look for that pretty soon.
That'll be good. You're the law. I'm the law. Oh, yeah. We had
I knew
fun.
you would say that.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about that a lot on the Baka stream. So, So there you go, guys. Make sure you smash that like, thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Of course, tune into Film Junkie Live tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Talking about this, anything that's happened, which, things have happened in the past few days. So I'll be talking about that. And yeah, do all that. Subscribe, become a member. It's all down there. The Patreon is down there. All the social media links. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Talk to you later.